It's about 8:30 p.m. on Friday, November 7th, and I don't know if I'll publish this tonight or tomorrow morning, but earlier I was out with a group of other folks from East Portland, Gresham, East County, and we were working on making whistle brigade kits. Everybody brought together the little printouts to fold and make the zines, know your rights red cards, whistles, plastic baggies, and we sat around together, and some folks folded up zines and some were stuffing baggies. And we talked about defending kids in our community against ICE, because ICE has been targeting neighborhoods around schools all throughout Portland, not just East Portland, not just East County. Yesterday, North Portland was targeted. Whistle brigade kits are really important so that we can help alert folks when ICE is in the area and when ICE is actively abducting people. Whistle brigades are not only a warning for immigrants, they are a rallying cry for members of the neighborhood to turn up and defend folks, to show up with their phones out, documenting, more people to join in with their whistles, so we have this huge cacophony, people honking on their horns, drawing attention like, hey, these motherfuckers are in our neighborhood. They don't belong here. We are all going to bear witness. We are refusing to sit quietly by and pretend that this is not happening in our neighborhood. So we were strategizing in particular, how can we make sure that these whistle kits reach areas of the city that are going to be targeted by ICE, right? Because we want people who live in these neighborhoods to have access to kits and to form those whistle brigades, right? It doesn't make sense to distribute the resources right now. Like ideally, everybody would have a whistle. If you can afford to just go buy a really loud whistle, I actually searched grape whistle, like every woman, and that will turn up really loud whistles, or you can say super loud whistle. Again, I encourage people to get your own earplugs to have with you, because they're really, really loud. So if everybody has a whistle, that would be ideal, but we want to start with the areas that are most targeted and get whistles and the directions for how to use them and how to form a whistle brigade into the hands of folks who most need it, who are going to be most impacted, live in the areas that ICE is targeting. Because ICE is not in Westland and Lake Oswego right now. And then we could have a whole other conversation about redlining and, the racist history of Oregon and whatever, but we can have that conversation in a different video. Actually, I have a couple of old videos on my YouTube about redlining in Oregon, and maybe that's worth talking about again. I think a lot of people assume Oregon is this kind of like pinko leftist heaven. Donald Trump makes it sound like we're all a bunch of commies out here, radical socialists or whatever. Oregon has a profoundly racist white supremacist history. Okay, but anyway, let's refocus. So whistle brigade kits. Right now, we're trying to get them to areas that need them the most. And then hopefully we can fill in with folks who may still be we don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't know the ways that Donald Trump and the fascists, as things start to crumble for them, they will try harder and harder to clamp down. As they start to lose control, they will seek to punish us more. That is inevitable. Right? Like authoritarian regimes, they only know how to squeeze and squeeze. When things start to feel like they're slipping for them, they're just going to clamp down harder. They're going to try and punish harder, because their whole thing is like, can we make you suffer enough? Can we make you scared enough to give up? And no, they're not going to. I think a lot of Americans are realizing that. I think there's been this kind of like crucial turning point, maybe with the election this week, maybe it's been building for a while, but it does feel like there is this big shift where people are no longer like, oh, are we going to be able to stop this? Instead, it's like, oh, we're stopping this. This will not be the new normal here. It is only a matter of time before this crumbles. But in the interim, people's lives are being ruined. In the interim, before we stop all of this madness, there is still this period where children are being traumatized on a daily basis, where immigrants' bodies are being brutalized. They are being robbed of their liberty, where entire neighborhoods, entire communities across this country, entire cities are living under Donald Trump's reign of terror, under ICE and Customs and Border Patrol's reign of terror. And so we have to yearn for the post-Trump era. We have to plan and strategize so that we get ourselves there. But we also have to make sure we try to take care of each other in the moment. We have to get through this period. We have to bring ourselves through this period. And that involves that tension of making sure that we're looking toward the future, we are focused on where we want to be going, but also addressing immediate needs. And I think whistle brigade kits, that falls in there, right? Meeting an immediate need. Schools all around the Portland metro area are reporting that ICE has been lurking just a couple of blocks away from school. I made a video earlier that was about having groups of retirees or parents come and form these lines, these support networks, basically like guardians, right? That are letting ICE know we're here and we're watching you, and we want our children to know that people in this neighborhood care, and we are not going to let ICE snatch you or your mom while you're on your way to school. Just the presence of white people especially is a deterrence. The more bodies, there are so many more of us than there are of these guys. And when we turn out in huge numbers, just like Donald Trump, right? ICE are a bunch of chicken shits. They're a bunch of fail sons who couldn't get a job in legitimate law enforcement. These guys are scared. You can see videos where they're like shaking. They're pulling out their gun and they're just like shaking. Somebody is talking to them and their voice is shaking because they're so stressed out. They are so fragile. They are so full of anxiety. They are not equipped to handle the situations that they're in. And because they're heavily armed, that makes that situation very, very dangerous, right? A scared man with a fragile ego who has a firearm and the ability, like, the green light from the president of the United States to brutalize your body. That's a really scary situation. But also, please understand, we really have the power, a massive group of unarmed people. We see from folks in Chicago, I think there's been a few instances in LA as well, when ICE rolls up and people just pour out of their houses, the whistle brigades start up. ICE will chicken out and leave. They're trying to patrol our neighborhood. We are not going to let this go unanswered. We are not going to hide in our homes and pretend that this isn't happening while they snatch people. ICE are real chicken shit. And when regular folks turn out and they're like, leave now, get out of our neighborhood. How do you look your children in the eye? How do you sleep at night? How would you like it if somebody threw your grandma to the ground? How would you like it if somebody zip-tied your kid? What you're doing is wrong and you know it's wrong. Get out of our neighborhood. There's power in that. I need to go and collect the clips from Chicago where people have turned out and ICE has been like, oh, do, and left. I don't know, for me, working with these folks tonight, and several of them, like I had met them for the first time. We were strangers and we got together to work on making whistle kits. I just felt so encouraged to be in a room with other people. Like, I know I say that there's no substitute for organizing in real life with other people, but there really isn't. When you sit down and you have conversations with, and you just maybe just sit quietly side by side working on a project that you know is going to help folks, where you are aligned in your purpose. You are all giving of your time and your resources. That builds solidarity, that connection that you're building with other people who were previously strangers, but now you know. Now you know our values are aligned. We care about the same things. We are willing to invest in our neighborhoods. We're willing to step out and do this together. That solidarity, like every time I have a face-to-face meeting with other folks or some kind of craftivism event, like I can coast on that for days. The kind of hope that gives me, the kind of determination, encouragement, it's such a good, tangible reminder of how many other people care. And that good people are everywhere. People who are willing to give of themselves on behalf of other people, people they may never meet, on behalf of our democracy, on behalf of the future of this country. That to me is so encouraging. It doesn't have to happen just in big, huge rallies and marches. It's also in these small events where you're getting together and you're working on a very small task, right? This is my little thing that I'm going to tackle. This is my small act of resistance for the day. I'm going to trust that all around the country, other people are doing the same thing. They're looking for their opportunity to take up some small act of resistance. Gosh, y'all, like we are connected to people everywhere. Like as I was sitting in this meeting, we're putting whistles in bags and we're chit-chatting. The woman who sat next to me was like, oh, this isn't my husband's jam, but here's all the ways he contributes to resistance. And I was like, oh yeah, here's the things my husband does. And I had this moment of like, all over the country, like right now, how many people are actively engaged in some small task to push back against what the regime is doing? It doesn't require big grandiose gestures that we do every once in a while by a few of us. It's these small acts that really nobody will know about and that people won't be writing novels about. Nobody is going to be starring in some movie about what we did tonight, right? But these are the meaningful acts of resistance that make all of the difference because they actually fill a real need. They serve a real purpose in the resistance movement, helping people form whistle brigades. But also because they're tremendous for morale. They're tremendous for cementing in our hearts and our minds. We will not bow to fascism. We will not let Trump have the victory. And that there are good people everywhere. organizing with us.